everybody, we are back, and the topic of this video, this bad boy right here, is your subconscious mind is your book of life. And this is just a 3-paragraph, a little mini excerpt that I like to share with you. It's out of the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, right here by Joseph Murphy. I've had this book forever, at least a decade. I'm probably longer, because I forget, like, I've had a personal development library for 20 years, so it's been sitting in there. I've read it many times, but I love Joseph Murphy. For one, I think he's one of the gurus of the subconscious mind, but then also, really, he was really a guru. He did really excellent with affirmations and how to really word an affirmation so it creates no conflict in your mind. If you know what I mean. And lots of times you have an affirmation, you say it, but then when you sit back and think, you're like, that's not true. That's conflict, that's what I mean. But this isn't what the video is about, but I love how he wrote the book because he wrote it in little sections. Even though he wrote it in chapters, but within a chapter, he broke everything off in little sections. And I love that because it really helps us to learn, okay? The way we read and we study is reversed, okay? The way we're taught in school, no matter if it's grade school, middle school, high school, it's college, even if you're a teacher, the way we study isn't made for success. This is why people struggle with success. They struggle with manifesting, or one thing they struggle with is because what happens is when you're in school, when I went to college, basically we're taught to read this whole book, to cram everything in the night before. If I have a test tomorrow, I'm up all night long, studying, rewriting stuff. I'm pulling an all-nighter just to regurgitate it on the test the next day and get an A on the test or get a B on the test, or at least do well on the test. And we just spit the information back, but we're not really learning the information. Everybody studies that way. That when I went to college, that study pattern didn't work for me. That's why for me, I had to study more slower and go over things more slower. It took me a week to study for a test because I went through it more slower. But what I found is that I really understood the material in my courses, my classes. Everybody that even got the same grades I did, and even if I aced the test, all the other people that aced the test, they still didn't know the information. After a couple days, it was out of sight, out of mind. They didn't even remember anything. They were just good at cramming the night before and spitting it back. And this is how we study today. This is why you're struggling if you struggle with this stuff. This is why I'm breaking everything down just in excerpts rather than going through the whole flipping book or the whole chapter. Okay, what you need to do when we go through this, and I know I'm getting kind of ranting right now before we get into it, but you need to just take little pieces of it, read it, and just think about it throughout the day. Just come back to it, read it again, rather than wanting to cram the whole book. It doesn't help you doing that stuff, okay? And lots of times people argue, they debate, they argue with me, they debate with me. They understand this stuff conceptually. You understand that enough to cast out debates, to disagree, or try to discredit, okay? But you really don't understand it, and that's evident in your life. Okay, I know those terms are really hard for you right now, but your 3D world is just a self-reflection of what's going on inside you. That's what we have to understand. And even for myself, and I'm talking to myself here too, I'm not separated from you, okay? We're all connected, okay? I'm talking to myself too. When I really focus on this, I'm really focused on just a few paragraphs like we're going to go on here in just a second. And I do this and I read it. It's easier for me to think about it throughout the day. Sometimes I'll go back to it and read it again. And you're trying to understand it at a deeper level than what you already do. But anyway, let's jump into this. Kind of got off on the rant there. I apologize. But anyway, your subconscious mind is your book of life. And I love this. It's only 3 paragraphs. So let's go through it. Let's read it and discuss it here. And let's get the rocking and rolling. Whatever thoughts, beliefs, opinions, theories, or dogmas you write, engrave, or impress on your subconscious mind, you shall experience them as the objective manifestation of circumstances, conditions, and events. I love that. I'll read that one more time, but let's finish. We got a couple more sentences here to finish off this paragraph. What you write on the inside, you will experience on the outside. Okay? Remember, manifesting, he's basically saying what you write on the inside, what's inside you, your core beliefs, what you secretly believe is inside you, you will experience on the outside. You will experience on the outside world. This is the same way of saying it comes from within out. What's within you is eventually going to be coming out to you where you see it in your 3D world. You have two sides of your life, objective and subjective, visible and invisible, thought and its manifestation. And this goes really deep. You know, we can actually talk about this is why just one little paragraph is so deep here. That's why I say you don't need to, yes, you need to read the whole book, but no, you don't need to read the book in one day. So let's highlight this. Let's go through this a little bit. I'm going to read it one more time. I got some commentary I'm going to put in there, then we're going to move on. Listen to this very, very closely. Whatever thoughts, beliefs, opinions, theories, or dogmas you write, engrave, you talk about, you discuss with your friends, you go to work and discuss with your coworkers, or you're just sitting there complaining to yourself, or impress on your subconscious mind, you shall experience them as the objective manifestation of circumstances. What does he mean by, he's using some fancy language here, okay? What does he mean by objective manifestation of circumstances, conditions, and events? What does he mean? I don't know if I can draw here or not. I can. Oh yeah. Let me do thickness here. This right here. I'm right there. I know it's ugly if you're following along, but it's about the information here. So what does this mean? Objective manifestation of circumstances. This is your objective world. Your objective world is your 3D world. Remember, your objective mind is your waking mind, is your conscious mind. Okay, remember, your objective mind is just another word for your conscious mind, just another word for your 3D world. This is your objective mind. Objective means, remember, your conscious mind is objective. What that means is it's very rational, it's very logical. Okay, your objective mind, your conscious mind goes by your 5 senses. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. This is your 3D world. Okay, that's what he means. So let's read it really fast. Whatever thoughts, beliefs, opinions, theories, or dogmas you write, engrave, or impress on your subconscious mind, you shall experience them in your 3D world. That's what he's talking about. And you're experiencing them in circumstances, conditions, and events. So whatever you think about all day long, eventually it's going to manifest in your 3D world. That's what he's talking about. Then he goes on, and I'm in green here, and I highlighted in green. What you write on the inside, you will experience on the outside. You manifest from within out. Whatever your secret thoughts are, okay? We all have secret thoughts, okay? We all live in the mind. We're not always talking outside. We all have secret thoughts we don't share with our friends and family and significant other. Okay, and we don't do it just because of ridicule or we're nervous or whatever, but we all have secret thoughts. And it's our deep-rooted beliefs, how we really truly believe. We don't have to speak on the outside, we could just be thinking about it. This is why manifesting starts from within out. Okay, if you don't like your 3D world, it's coming from inside you, or it's coming from, yes, it's coming from within, but it's what you're talking about and focused on all day long. Okay, if you do it long enough, guess what? You're going to start seeing what he says here. You're going to start seeing similar circumstances come in, similar conditions come in, what you're thinking about. Similar events come in, will start happening in your life. You're going to start seeing this stuff. Then he says this, you have two sides to your life. Objective and subjective, the visible and invisible, thought and its manifestation. right here. I don't know if I can draw. Oh my goodness. I'm proud of myself. I drew that line, drew it very straight. You didn't know you were going to be in a comedy show today. But anyway, what does he mean? You have two sides of your life. Your objective world and your subjective world. What's your objective world? Your objective world is your 3D world. Your objective is your conscious mind. Okay? Now he's using different terminology now. Your conscious mind is your objective mind, meaning it's very rational and very logical. This is where all your five senses come from again. See here, smell, taste, test. Okay? Then he says you have a subjective. What does subjective mean? Your subjective mind or your subjective world is what's called your 4D world. It's also called your subconscious mind. It's also called your spiritual mind. And this is where your higher faculties come. Like perception, like intuition. You have gut feelings. You have gut feelings to do something. This is coming from your subjective world, from your subconscious mind. Then he says, one is visible and one is invisible. What does that mean? Your objective mind is visible. Why is it visible? Why would he say that? It's because this is your 3D world. Your objective mind lives by the five senses. Your objective mind, if it doesn't see it, smell it, taste it, can touch it, and so on, it doesn't believe. It's very rational, very logical. That's why it's visible. Your objective world is your visible world. It's your 3D world. It's what you're experiencing right now. Like if I pick up this phone, I can feel it, I can see it. Maybe I could taste it if I really wanted to. But this is my objective world, my objective mind. Because if I see it, I believe it. It's a phone. Then he says visible and invisible. Okay, now your invisible is your subjective. Your subjective is what? Your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your invisible world, is your 4D. Just like Neville Goddard says, imagination creates reality. This is where your imagination comes from. It's from your subjective world. It's invisible. You can't see it. Okay? If you can't see it, it's going to be denied by your objective world, because your objective mind, your conscious mind, runs by what again? Runs by your five senses. So your subjective world is invisible. And then he continues, one is thought and one is manifestation. What does he mean by this? All your thoughts you have come by your objective mind. All my thoughts come by my conscious mind. Everything I'm thinking all day long is run by my objective world. Everything I'm thinking all day long is run by my conscious mind. On the flip side, he says manifestation. How does manifesting, where does manifesting come from? Manifesting comes from your subjective world. Manifesting comes from your subconscious mind. That's where manifesting comes from. How is this working? It's because he might explain this, okay, in the next couple paragraphs. But in my own world, in my own words of what's written right here, is that we have thoughts. When you think about something over and over and over again in your objective world, that's going to influence what? That's going to influence your subjective mind. That's going to influence your subconscious mind. Once you influence your subconscious mind, that will manifest into reality. That will manifest into your world. That's how everything works here in your subconscious mind when you're looking at your objective and subjective. Okay, let's go on here. The second paragraph. Your brain receives your thought, which is the organ of your conscious reasoning mind. Remember, your conscious reasoning mind is your objective mind. When your conscious or objective mind accepts the thought completely, it is sent to the solar plexus, called the brain of your mind, where it becomes flesh and is made to manifest into experience. Okay, now he's explaining it in a different way, but this is kind of why I just explained, but I kind of explained it in my own words. Is that once you're thinking, and we're thinking thoughts redundantly, okay? And right now we have they did research studies on this. We think we have about 65,000 thoughts per day. 70% of those thoughts 70% are negative. But out of the 65,000 thoughts, 95% is redundant. So what this means is 70% of them, 70% of the time, my thoughts, I'm thinking negative. The 94%, 95% is redundant. So what this means is all my thoughts are redundant, almost 95% of them. Give and take 5%. So I'm on this, like we're on this giant hamster wheel. This is kind of like the law of karma. This is really the law of karma. This is why things, either good or bad, keep on happening in your life, and it runs in cycles. Okay? Because whatever thoughts I have, and I constantly think about it in my conscious and my objective world. But this is what's in control. When I'm awake all day long, my subconscious mind is at bay. What's in control when I'm awake is my conscious mind, my objective mind. Then this is where all my thoughts come into. And what I'm thinking about all day long, and it goes to day 2, day 3, week 1, week 2, then it turns into months. Sometimes it turns into years. Eventually what happens, my thoughts, my conscious mind is going to influence my subconscious mind. Once my subconscious mind is influenced, the subconscious mind doesn't play favorites. It's not biased. It doesn't matter if it likes you and don't like you. It just accepts it as fact, just like that. Once your subconscious mind accepts it as fact, then you're going to see the manifesting happen in your 3D world. That's when manifesting starts to begin. Now let's go to this third paragraph here. This is the last paragraph in this little section. As previously outlined, your subconscious mind cannot argue. It acts only from what you write on it. It accepts your verdict or conclusions of your conscious mind as final. This is why you're always writing on the book of life, because your thoughts become your experiences. The American essayist Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Man is what he thinks all day long." And I love this quote by Emerson. Man is what he thinks all day long. Now I love what he says here too. Your thoughts become your experiences. What you think about all day long eventually become your experiences in your 3D world. Sometimes it's exactly what you're thinking about, but most of the time it's just similar conditions, similar events. It's very similar to what I'm thinking about all day long. And Joseph Murphy brings it up here, and he says it's previously outlined, because he talks about the subconscious mind all the way through the book. And we'll get into that more later on. But he says your subconscious mind cannot argue. Your subconscious mind cannot argue. It cannot debate with you. It don't care if you're right or wrong. It doesn't care if it's good or bad for you. It's not biased. It doesn't play favorites. It's not like, well, the subconscious mind likes this person over here, it doesn't like me over here. It doesn't do any of that. That's what you mean it doesn't argue. It doesn't debate. It doesn't rationalize. Your subconscious mind is very illogical. It doesn't think. It just accepts. It just accepts it as final, accepts it as true. It acts only from what you write on it. What does he mean by that? It acts only. Your subconscious mind acts only from what you write on it. What does that mean? It's what you're thinking about in your conscious mind over and over and over and over eventually will seep down into your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind will think like, well, he must want it. Chad must want this because he keeps on thinking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's accepted as fact, final, and then manifestation starts to begin. It acts only from what you write on it. It accepts your verdict or conclusions from your conscious mind, from your objective mind, as final. This is why you are always writing on the book of life. This is why you can change your environment. You can change your 3D world. All you have to do is start thinking differently. If your mind goes in the gutter, even for myself, I can only talk about myself, okay? But when I start being really aware of my thoughts, And I'm really surprised how many times I'll drift off into the negative, drift off into thinking about circumstances that never has even happened, but they're negative. Make sense? And and things aren't going to, if you think about one little negative thought, it's not going to manifest in your life, okay? But what happens is that we stay in those moments. We constantly think like it over and over and over and over and over again. That's what happens. We let ourselves stay in this state because we're unaware of it. You can change your life like that. That's what it means. We're always writing on the book of life. We can change anything. We can change our circumstances. As we change our thoughts, everything you start seeing, everything will change in your 3D world. And I'll give you a test here, a simple test. Okay, and even if you follow Neville Goddard, you can do this. If you're familiar with Neville Goddard, you can do this. When you go to bed at night, as you start getting sleepy, drowsy, drift off to sleep. Okay, this is what I want you to think about. Think about, depending upon where you live, think about something simple. Okay, think about it. Think about your dream car and be very precise with it. And you'll be surprised that maybe it won't happen then the very next morning. Sometimes it does. Or sometimes it does in the next few days. All of a sudden you start seeing your dream car all over that you never noticed before. You can play with this, okay? That proves to you imagination creates reality. Proves to you what you think about, it will eventually come into your world. If you lay down every night and you start thinking about butterflies, because you love butterflies, but you never see them anymore where you live. You start seeing beautiful butterflies all over in your imagination. Sooner or later, when you wake up, you're going to go somewhere and you're going to see tons of butterflies. It's going to come into your world. Start thinking about simple stuff. Stop trying to, I want my dream house. It doesn't work. I want my dream car. It doesn't work. I want to be a millionaire. It doesn't work. Do some simple things to prove to yourself that will give you more confidence. Go to sleep at night and start thinking, somebody's going to give me a free coffee today. And you can go to sleep in that state. I'm going to get a free coffee today. You don't know how it's going to happen. You see it in your imagination. Someone handing you a free cup of coffee. It could be your favorite coffee, depending upon what you like. You're getting it free. You didn't ask for it. You didn't beg for it. You didn't ask for, hey, do I get it free today? You didn't do none of that. They just hand it to you for free. And lo and behold, that will happen. See, this is what helps you become more confident in manifesting. Is you start manifesting little simple things. See, these little simple things should be increasing your confidence, increasing your level of belief that this works. Even Neville Goddard would do the same thing. This is why Neville Goddard he created the ladder technique. Because he used the ladder technique to really prove to people that imagination does create reality. What you think about, what you fall asleep to, what you influence your subconscious mind with is going to happen in your 3D world. This is the whole reason he did the ladder technique. It's just to prove to the naysayers, just to prove that, hey, this works. Do it. Do the ladder technique. I challenge you to do the ladder technique. And what would happen is that when he would give the ladder technique to somebody, he would explain how to do it, and it really happened for them. Then they would come back to him. Guess what he would say? He would say this in a group of people sometimes. Guess what he would say? He would tell them, okay, if the ladder technique worked for you, you could have just as well manifested $1 million. Think about it. If the ladder technique worked for you, I could have just as well manifested $1 million. What's the separator? What's the difference? The only difference is when you think about the ladder technique, why in the hell do I want to climb a ladder? There's no attachment. You don't want to do it. You don't care if you do it or not. You might even be scared of heights. It's like, I'm never going to climb a flipping ladder. Then it ends up happening. But over here, this $1,000,000 you really, really, really want. So you attach yourself to it, and it's unhealthy attachment. You can't let it go. And that's why you struggle over on this side versus over here. It's the same way I'm telling you too, is pick little simple things. You don't have to pick a ladder, pick a cup of coffee. Start imagining butterflies, and it will eventually come in your world. But it's the same thing. Okay, Chad, if I could manifest a free cup of coffee, someone just gave it to me. I just walked in Starbucks and they said, here, it's free today. Okay. If I can manifest a cup of coffee, I could just as well manifest $1,000,000. If I can manifest butterflies in my world, and it happens, I can do the same thing over here to my dream house. That's the power we have. Do these simple little techniques, because when you do these simple little techniques, you don't say, well, it's just a coincidence. You use it to get more confidence, get more belief. Well, once you really have more confidence and you think, dude, I can manifest anything I want. I can have anything I want. At that point, it's just a law of belief. When you just believe you can have it, it comes to you. Simple as that. But anyway, friends, just want to share that with you. This was only three little paragraphs here. Your subconscious mind is your book of life. And I love this. And this is what I mean is like something with Joseph Murphy, with the power of subconscious mind, just having a little excerpt like this. If I could speak English, I would say these little words. You know, we can tear apart this just 3 little paragraphs and just talk forever on it. And this is the same way how you should be studying and reading. Don't get so caught up into like, oh, I read this in one day. Okay, even research says, well, if you read a book, at most, you only get out of it about 10%. That's it. Then you read it again, maybe you get another 10%. You read it again, maybe you get 5%. You read it again, maybe you get another 10%. Then if you actually study psychology, they even say, like, when you read a book, once your mind learns something new, it clicks out. You don't learn nothing else. Once your mind once I look at it and I see it in a different light, all I can think about is that one thing. So it's really helpful just to pick apart little pieces and slowly go into this and slowly understand this stuff, because you're really forming your belief, forming the law of belief. But anyway, friends, remember, I love you guys. Comment below. I love to hear from you. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.